NC State football is headed up to Blacksburg to meet the Sandman. How will they get it done? We got the keys.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Happy Friday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. We have a good Friday show for you all. We're going to quickly dive into our Fan Friday, tackling our top comments of the week. Without further ado, here we go. First one here comes from Michael Holbrook. He says, I've listened to a lot of Robert Anae interviews over the years, and his brilliance is second to none. He designs a masterpiece every week for the offense. If they follow it, it's unbeatable. This team is learning to not only trust Anae's schemes, but also how to execute them to perfection. And he has a whole bag of tricks yet to unveil for our big guns, KC, Armstrong, and the rest of that posse. Yeah, so this is basically what we've been saying these past couple weeks. Whether people have taken note of it or not, Robert Anae has been very sneakily cooking up in the kitchen. Some of the play designs and these sets, these funky formations, repeatedly getting the ball into the hands of KC, it has been giving off a bit of like mad scientist vibes. And that's exactly who you want to be running your offense. You know how when you go to the barbershop and you see the man with the mean fade and a forearm tat, and you probably think, I bet you that guy will cut me up exactly how I need to be cut up. It's the same kind of energy there. You want an offensive coordinator that's a little bit quirky. The way he delivers an interview, it's a little bit different than what you're used to. That's who you want running the offense. And I know the correlation is there. Whether you believe me or not, maybe, all right, I'll make another one. If you're at the barbecue and you see the man on the grill has got a little extra elbow on his elbow, and you know that meat, you know that meat is going to get you right, that's what you want. When you see it, you know. When you hear Robert and I speak, no, that's the point I'm trying to make here.
No, I 1,000% agree, right? Don't. I'm not eating off the grill if you got an AirPod in. I need to see the full headset with the. What you say now, Chuck? Yeah, that's what I like to hear, man. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, we tore them up at Domino's the other day. But no, in all seriousness, this is, I'm gonna tell you this, but I mean this very genuinely, right? I do love how Anae's been cooking up lately. However, there is a certain thing called KYP, know your personnel. And this game plan should be very simple. Like this game plan, we should minimize trick plays, minimize all the extra ball handling, because Virginia Tech's best ability is speed. Their defense is ridiculously fast, but there's a catch to that we'll get into later. This game plan should be simplified. It should be downhill, no frills. Hey, you, me, let's do this, brother. And let's meet each other in the hole and see what happens. But yes, Robert Anae has been cooking as of lately.
Next one comes from our guy, Logan Jackson. Says, I was a doubter early on, but now we're seeing what people were talking about when they said that the defense could actually improve after last season. To be honest, they're becoming boring to talk about because every week they just keep chugging right along and doing their thing. Yes, another thing that we've also been talking about on here. You are now starting to see all of the offseason buzz that we were hearing about over the summer. You heard Peyton Wilson at ACC Media Day. We're faster than we've ever been before. These guys are hungry. You heard Tony Gibson over the summer. This is the best defensive line I've ever had before. This is the fastest defense I've ever had before. In the first couple weeks, we kept giving up chunk plays because of over pursuit, misreading gaps, and ultimately giving up way too much offense, and it would kill us later on in that game. We've tightened it up after this bye week, and after that Duke loss. We've clearly tightened things up, and this defense is on another level right now.
You know, the talk of this defense becoming boring reminds me of something that my mother told me a long time ago. She said, son, when you're looking for a wife, don't find a woman who does the spectacular thing and celebrates your birthday and Christmas and all the holidays great. Find a woman who does the things right day in, day out. The little things that you need done in your life, find a woman who does that day in, day out just the right way every time. That's what this defense does. They show up and do the little things that need to be done the right way every time. So you're right. It is boring to talk about. But you know what? Think about it this way. The best relationship you had was the boring one. When everybody asks like, hey, how you and your lady doing? We're good. She's happy. I'm happy. You know that. That's the one. The one where you always got some tea, some gossip, something going on. Get out of there, brother. Get out of there immediately, okay?
Next one comes from Dennis Holshoe. Says, I want to see the senior Trent Penix step up the next couple of weeks, as well as Christopher Tootle and Javonte Juice Vereen. I always like calling out the tight ends in the red zone. I agree run game is going to be key. Looking for us to maintain our intensity and make this a physical game. Go Pack, beat VT. Yes, as we mentioned on Wednesday, and Kenton, you just mentioned here a couple of seconds ago, Virginia Tech does not have the physicality to match in our run game. Tight ends, again, we're always banging the table to get these tight ends involved, whether it's in run block, whether it's a play action to get Trent Penix rolling out. You could find him down the field. Get your big bodies in this game and dominate at the line of scrimmage.
Trent Penix has become a hell of a blocker.
He has.
I've watched tape on him, and I'm just like, wait a minute now. What happened? Because the willingness was kind of there last year, but it didn't seem like he was 100% bought in. And even when he was willing to do it, he was all right. This year, he has been good to elite in terms of when he gets his hands on a guy and says, hey, you're going this way. A lot of times guys are just saying, yes, sir, whatever you say, Mr. Penix, we're going the direction in which you want to go. Obviously, that's not what's happening. He's moving people against their will, but that's, and in this game, that's going to be important because when you look at Virginia Tech's biggest playmakers who play in the box, a lot of them, look at their roster weight, 220, 230, 250. And then when you actually look at them in person or on tape, you're like, there's no way that kid's 220. There is no way. He is 220 with 2 cement bricks in his pocket and his shorts are wet. There's no way that young man is that way. So, the tight ends are going to be necessary in order to lay some good blocks and all that. Like a lot of what we saw last week, even on plays like that reverse, it was necessary for Trent Penix to throw a couple good blocks there. So,
Next one comes from Mr. Big Bad Wolf. Excuse me, Mr. Wolf. I'm going to paraphrase just a little bit. But they say we need 2 quick scores in the first quarter to get the lane crowd out of the game to a degree. I would love to see a really nasty attitude on the defense in this game and 3 to 4 turnovers to skew field starting position for the off. Get ahead, stay ahead. You're going to hear me say that again in just a couple minutes, talking about Kenton's keys here. In a tough environment to play up in Blacksburg, NC State has to get out in front early and then let your defense settle in and go to work. As we've learned this year, we are not a team that's built to play from behind. You have got to get out in front and then let your defense strap in and go to work.
Yeah, and I think more important than eliminating the crowd is eliminating Virginia Tech's game plan. Like, at the end of the day, if you make this team have to beat you through the air, don't get me wrong, we have seen Jones throw the ball effectively and all that. I don't think it's about him. I think it's about the talent or lack thereof on the outside for Virginia Tech. That I feel like if we get up a couple scores, our DBs are just going to put the clamps on those young men. Yes. It's not going to be pretty. So with that being said, I 1,000% agree. Who wouldn't want to see? Who among us would not want 2 quick scores to get a lead against Virginia Tech? But the reality is the most important thing to me, get this team out of their game plan. Don't let them constantly run the ball. Make it so that if they're running the ball, they know, man, we're hurting our chances to come back. We're there's a really good run defense, and we're just tick. Time coming off the clock trying to run it. So that's my take there.
Last one here comes from Jason, NCSU 2007. Says we're going to get a very motivated Virginia Tech team with their senior day and still being alive for the ACC Championship Game. So We actually got fact check on this from Jason. I believe it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, but Virginia Tech is very much still alive to make it into the ACC Championship Game. Whether we agree with it or not, it is actually true.
It's because the ACC doesn't make sense. Their rules surrounding this stuff. Every other conference, almost every other Power 5 conference, if you and a team are tied and they have a head-to-head victory over you, congratulations. There's the tiebreak. That's the first tiebreak for everybody else. For us, for some reason, when people say the ACC equals another crappy call, who knew it meant the administration as well in terms of our rulemaking? Because what are we doing? What unserious clown show stuff are we doing to where it's like, oh, you two are tied, but this team has a head-to-head win? No. We need some quadratic equation to figure out who's the winner. Come on. But they are technically still alive because of the ACC's debauchery.
Up next, we're going to dive into Kenton's keys for this game at Virginia Tech after a quick word from our sponsor. Our first sponsor of the day is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is simply the most fun you can have this daily fantasy sports season. And now with basketball starting up, you can choose combo projections across football and basketball using the Specials League. This is a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. So for example, you can choose LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. If you want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players, such as rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Scholes, you can now find community plays under the promos tab. This includes entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each and every week. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries are safe even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance policies. So head over to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering each and every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Now, moving here, Kenton, into Kenton's keys for us. We're going to start on the offensive side of the ball.
Hit the magic number. The number is 24. We've talked about this before. Most of our games are turning into a race to 24. And I think if we get there in this game, we'll be just fine. Hit that magic number. I don't care how you get there. I don't care what you do. Just get to 24. Second, run for over 150 yards. And let me tell you why. The Virginia Tech defense does not have a single starter that's listed at over 300 pounds. I'm very serious about that. In total, they have one guy that's listed at 300 pounds, and that's backup defensive tackle Josh Fuga. And I'm, with all due respect to Mr. Fuga, I saw him at ACC Media Days, and me and him were standing shoulder to shoulder, and I'm like, we sure about that? We sure about that 300? But yeah, that's we have to take advantage of a defense that's a little light in the behind. We got to, you got to be able to move that line of scrimmage. Their specialty and their best ability is when they get you in third and long situations and they can get freaky. I'm just being very honest with you. They can put out a speed package where everybody, I don't think a single guy on their speed package runs slower than 4.6, 4.7. But again, if you don't get in third and long, guess where that speed package sits? On the sideline. They don't get in. So run for over 150 yards, stay ahead of the sticks. That's very important here. Last but not least, ABKC. Now, I know that some of you may have small children that are watching this, and you're like, hey, there's no K before the C. It means the same thing it meant before. Anybody but KC. Please, we need somebody else to make plays. And don't get me wrong. We enjoy KC making plays, but the reality is this is a key because this is what will guarantee us success. KC making plays, we've seen it all year. Sometimes it's led to success, sometimes it hasn't. But because we know that KC is a known commodity, somebody coming along with him is what will truly take this offense to a next level.
Told you I was going to say it a couple minutes ago, and here it is. Get ahead, stay ahead. The same formula that we used in Winston last week needs to apply again here. Use Brennan's legs, open up the field, get creative, put points on the board early. You've got to keep the pressure on them offensively from the jump. You get off the bus, they put the ball down, it's time to score. And until we have a comfortable lead, keep scoring. Because again, this is a tough environment to play in. Virginia Tech's can be fired up. They have a lot to play for. All gas, no brakes, until maybe it's time for some breaks at the bottom of the hill.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the defense. Hold Tootin and Drones under 125 yards rushing. Here's the very interesting thing about this duo, right? We've talked ad nauseum about how good they are running the ball and how special they are and how, if you let those two get to going, you're going to have problems. But here's the thing that you find about those two. In terms of in games against Power 5 opponents, they being Virginia Tech, has not had much success when those two are not rolling at a high clip. And that's just the reality. In their loss to Purdue, Drones wasn't the starting quarterback yet. In their loss to Rutgers, I believe that was Drones' first game as the starting quarterback. But between he and Tootin, there were only, I want to say, 120 yards or so on the ground. That is what you want. That is what you want. You need to keep this team from having a field day running the ball, because when they do, don't worry. It's Katie Diaz at the doorstep. They're going to light it up. They're going to have a great time on you. It's going to be a party in the end zone. Everybody's going to be celebrating and dancing in the streets. That is not what you want to see at any level. So keeping them under 125 is crucial. Second, help the offense out, okay? We talked about, doesn't matter how you get to 24, as long as you get there, we need at least 2 drives starting at our 40-yard line or better, if not scoring outright defensively. Because, again, while I do think that Virginia Tech's defense is very weak against the run, we've also not been good running the ball for most of the year. I understand that Anai's getting creative and he's doing good things in the running game now. I still don't feel like I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm super confident in our running game just to maul these boys, because that's where we're at now. So help our offense. Get them in great field position at least twice. The last thing is keep Virginia Tech behind the sticks. We need at least 5 tackles for loss. When I talk about the lack of talent that Drones has on the outside, one of the biggest ways to make that talent have to show up big and beat you is getting them behind the sticks. If you are in, which one are you more likely to think, they could run the ball, they could pass the ball, they could do whatever on? 2nd and 5, 2nd and 11. You see what I'm saying? Like that's just the reality of what we need here. So keep them behind the sticks. Get at least 5 tackles for loss. The more the merrier, but that's just what I see as the 3 keys here.
Yeah, what makes Drones so dynamic is his ability to run the ball, in addition to Tootin, a little bit of a two-headed monster on the ground. Yeah. NC State, of course, their strength in their defense is the run defense. You want to be able to force Drones into having to beat you through the air. Same thing we've talked about these last couple weeks. If you force Drones to beat you through the air, I don't think he can do it. Our secondary has been airtight these past couple weeks. Impressively so. If you keep that same energy this game, Virginia Tech will not beat you. Kyron Drones will not beat you through the air. If you contain him enough, if you wreak enough havoc in the backfield, if you force him into some bad turnovers, that is exactly how NC State will take quick control of this one. Up next, we're going to give our final thoughts and predictions for this game up in Blacksburg after a quick message from our sponsors. Our second sponsor of the day is Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing is completely changing the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good, that are full of flavor and well-crafted, just like a full-strength beer. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning, beating out full-strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft non-alcoholic beer, including IPAs, golden, sours, and more. They're also constantly releasing limited edition experimental styles to add to their variety. They are fit for all times. You can drink them anytime, anywhere and make any activity even more enjoyable. This includes watching the big game or watching your kids' game, tackling work or working out. No matter the occasion, Athletic Brewing has got you covered. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. Putting a bow on our Friday episode here, NC State at Virginia Tech, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Virginia Tech is a 2.5-point favorite at home. NC State will be road dogs in this one. Kenton, give me your final thoughts, final predictions, and a final score.
Well, not only is Virginia Tech 2-point favorites in this one, you're also looking at a game where the odd makers don't believe that there will be a ton of offense here. The under-over for this game is 42.5. And so, again, 24 is the magic number here, according to the odds makers. But I'm going to go even lower than that. I got Virginia Tech winning 17-9.
Yeah, I mean, I do still feel like to a certain extent we can be forced into being very one-dimensional. If Virginia Tech's defense is able to stifle our run game and they're able to keep Brennan Armstrong in the backfield, if they're able to keep Michael Allen or Kendrick Raphael at bay, whoever that may be, basically the inverse of drones, they can force Brennan into having to beat them through the air, in which that is a very tall task. Now, I'm going to say this. I love NC State on the road in this game. I love NC State being road underdogs. I love NC State being underdogs point blank period right now with the way that they're playing football. I'll be in the house up at Lane Stadium, my first time being there. I'm going to meet the Sandman. I'm hoping he has a firm handshake because if not, I think we'll find out pretty quickly. I love NC State in this game. I'm excited for the opportunity. So with that being said, give me Virginia Tech by a score of 20-16. It is low scoring. It's an ugly game. The Hokies take the win and stay in contention for the ACC Championship game, much to the dismay of the NC State Wolfpack.
I was just about to say, don't ruin this. We've been undefeated here. Don't ruin it.
Nah, not a chance. That will do it for us here on Friday. Again, another great week here for Locked On Wolfpack. Tons of comments, tons of views, tons of likes. We're super grateful and thankful for it all. Could not do this without the support of you all. Even some Hokie fans tuned in with us. We're very grateful for that. Again, looking forward to a great game on Saturday. Be sure to drop a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button. As always, go Pack.
Go Pack.